The air in the Redwood National Park sometimes carries a silence so profound it feels like a physical presence. It presses against you, a weight on your chest, especially when you're driving alone through the ancient giants that line Highway 17. This particular stretch of road, winding deep into Northern California's wilderness, is known for its isolation. Towering trees consume the sky, casting perpetual twilight, even at midday. Cell service fades to nothing, the radio crackles with static, and the world shrinks to the beam of your headlights slicing through the encroaching darkness. It's just you and the road. And then, if you pay close attention, you might notice it. A small reflective sign, barely visible through the mist that often blankets these parts. It reads, Mile 37, an unassuming marker on an unassuming highway. Nothing about it suggests anything out of the ordinary. Yet for some, Mile 37 is not just a point on a map. It is the last place they were ever seen, the last place they existed in the world we know. Our story begins with Ilara Vance, a young woman in her late 20s, an aspiring photographer with a restless spirit. It was late autumn, just a few years ago. Ilara was driving north, heading towards a remote artist retreat, nestled deeper in the mountains. She loved these solitary journeys, the quiet hum of the road, the chance to clear her mind. On the evening of October 14th, around 10:30 p.m., she made a quick call to her sister, telling her she was just past a small turnoff, making good time. The connection was spotty, filled with static, but she managed to relay her approximate location. Just past a mile marker, she said, her voice faint. 37, I think. Almost there. That was the last anyone ever heard from Ilara Vance. Her sister, growing worried when Ilara didn't check in the next day, reported her missing. A search was initiated, beginning along her expected route. It took 2 days for a patrol officer to find her car. It was a silver Honda Civic, parked neatly on the shoulder of Highway 17. The location, precisely at mile marker 37. The scene was unsettling in its ordinariness. The engine was off, but the keys were still in the ignition. Her phone lay on the passenger seat, charged, with a half-composed text message to her sister. Her camera bag, full of expensive equipment, was untouched in the back. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, no footprints leading away into the dense forest, which was still damp from recent rain. It was as if Ilara had simply stepped out of her car and vanished into thin air. The investigators combed the area for miles, using canine units, thermal imaging drones, and ground teams. They found nothing. Not a single thread of Ilara's distinctive scarf, no broken twig, no discarded water bottle. It was a complete, absolute disappearance. For months, Ilara Vance's case remained an open wound, a nagging mystery in the quiet county. The local sheriff's department, accustomed to lost hikers or occasional runaways, was baffled. There was simply no explanation. They theorized she might have walked into the woods and gotten disoriented, but the sheer lack of any trace, especially with extensive search efforts, defied logic. It was an anomaly, an isolated, chilling anomaly, until it wasn't. 3 years later, the whisper of a new disappearance echoed through the same stretch of forest. This time, it was a young couple, David and Sarah Miller. They were heading to their remote cabin for a weekend getaway. Their last known communication was a brief check-in with Sarah's parents, confirming they were on Highway 17, deep in the Redwoods. They never arrived at the cabin. Their SUV, a dark blue Ford Explorer, was found 2 days later. You can guess where. Mile marker 37. The circumstances were eerily identical to Ilara Vance's case. The car was parked perfectly on the shoulder, keys in the ignition, phones on the console, wallets, purses and luggage all present and accounted for. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no footprints, despite the soft, damp earth. David and Sarah Miller had vanished, as completely and inexplicably as Ilara. A profound chill settled over the small community. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a pattern. And the pattern pointed directly to mile marker 37. Law enforcement, now with a grim sense of déjà vu, launched an even more intensive search. This time, they called in state and federal resources. The scale of the operation was immense, sweeping through miles of dense forest, scaling steep ravines, and dragging the river that snaked nearby. Every detail was scrutinized, every piece of vegetation, every rock, every patch of soil. Again, nothing. No trace of the Millers. It was as if the forest itself had swallowed them whole, leaving only their empty vehicle as a silent, mocking testament to their absence. The mile marker 37. Anomaly became a local legend, spoken of in hushed tones. Truckers began to avoid the stretch if they could. Families planning trips through the Redwoods rerouted. The road, once just a scenic passage, now felt charged with a palpable sense of dread. The authorities, desperate for answers, tried everything. They installed motion-activated cameras in the vicinity of mile marker 37, hoping to catch a glimpse of anything unusual. They brought in specialized forensic teams to re-examine the vehicles, searching for microfibers, latent prints, anything that could offer a clue. One peculiar detail emerged during these exhaustive investigations. In both cases, the vehicles were found with almost exactly half a tank of gas. A strange, minor consistency, but one that further deepened the mystery. It suggested the drivers hadn't been traveling for an excessive amount of time, nor had they simply run out of fuel. It was as if their journeys had been interrupted at a precise, calculated moment. Another, more unsettling detail came from those who had driven past mile marker 37 around the time of the disappearances. A few reported a strange sensation, a sudden, profound drop in temperature, even on a warm day. Others described a momentary disorientation, a feeling of vertigo, or a faint, almost imperceptible hum that seemed to resonate from the very earth beneath the asphalt. These were subjective, unscientific observations, easily dismissed as fatigue or imagination. But when taken together, they painted a picture of a place that was, in some subtle way, fundamentally wrong. Theories, as they always do, began to proliferate. Was it a highly sophisticated serial abductor, someone with an impossible ability to vanish with their victims and leave no trace? But how could they operate so cleanly, so consistently, in such an exposed location, always at the exact same mile marker? And why leave the vehicles in such pristine condition? The sheer precision and lack of evidence defied every known criminal profile. Some whispered of ancient malevolent spirits guarding sacred lands, angered by trespassers. Local indigenous legends spoke of shadow folk who could draw travelers into other realms. While dismissed by law enforcement, these tales resonated with the primal fear that the Redwoods could inspire, a sense of something far older and more powerful than human understanding. More rational minds proposed environmental explanations. A hidden sinkhole, perhaps, camouflaged by the dense undergrowth that opened and closed without leaving a lasting mark. But the geology of the area didn't support such a phenomenon occurring repeatedly at the same spot. A peculiar atmospheric anomaly, creating a localized disorienting effect, leading people to wander off. Plausible perhaps for one person, but a couple, and then another individual, all vanishing without a trace, never to be found. It strained credulity. Mile marker 37 remains a chilling enigma. The cameras installed by the authorities have captured nothing but fog, passing cars, and the occasional deer. The forensic teams found no new leads. The families still wait, still hope, still wonder. The towering redwoods continue their silent vigil, their ancient branches forming a canopy over the asphalt, guarding their secrets. The road is still there, quiet, waiting. A point on the map where the ordinary gives way to the utterly inexplicable. A place where people simply cease to be. What force operates in the shadows of the Redwood National Park, drawing travelers into an unseen realm? What truly waits at mile marker 37? And who, as the mist rolls in and the light fades, will be next to pull over and disappear forever?